Welcome to Wrestler of the Week, Week 20. It pretty much works like this. If you are a professional wrestler and you made the most impact over the past 7 days, you will be named Wrestler of the Week. Every week, points will be tabulated, and whoever has the most points at the end of the calendar year will be named the male and female Wrestler of the Year. If you want to see what I use as criteria for Wrestler of the Week, be sure to check out my Week 1 episode. This was a week of debuts, shocking returns, and the hottest feud in wrestling just turned the heat up. So let's just go. First, the women and a couple of honorable mentions. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander over on AEW continue to build their rivalry, and it looks like that Willow and Statlander will be meeting at some point within the Owen Hart Cup. The team of stars, Hanan and Seiya Ida, defeated the Cosmic Angels, Aya Sakura and Sakaya Kara for the New Blood Tag Team titles over at Stardom. And now the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the women. We kick off the list for the women with the CMLL Women's Occidental Tag Team Champions Adira and Nautica, who at CMLL Martes de Glamour defeated Hatana and Valkyria in a fast-paced matchup. Adira and Nautica are approaching 70 days as champs, and they have a lot of challengers, as it seems like the CMLL roster has like 1,000 people on it. But also, CMLL does engage in talent exchanges that does bring some talent over from other promotions. How long can they hold on? We will see, but for now, our CMLL Women's Occidental Tag Team Champions, Adira and Nautica, start things off with the women at number 10. The Deadlock Pro Wrestling Women's World Championship was defended this week, and that lands the current champ, Miyuki Takase, who defended current Rev Pro Women's World Champ, Danny Luda, in a very good match that saw the women hit each other with suplexes, missile drop kicks, lariats, and brainbusters. Finally, Takase would hit a second rope guillotine leg drop for the victory. Takase is approaching 200 days as women's champ since defeating Ellie Sakura last year with no plans on stopping, and I enjoy her work. Hopefully we get some more high-profile matches in the future, as I would definitely love to spotlight more of her. For now, the DPW Women's Champ Miyuki Takase is the number 9 female wrestler of the week. The Genius of the Sky, the ever more becoming unhinged Io Sky, and the always entertaining Chelsea Green land at number 8 this week, and they both won important matches to qualify for Money in the Bank. Sky would defeat Kiana James and Selena Vega in a triple threat qualifier on Monday Night Raw, while Green would best Bianca Belair and Michin in a shocker, as I think many had Belair pegged to win this match. While Io preps for her future confrontation with Utami Hayashida, she also has to deal with a damage control team of Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane losing matches, declaring something must change or she will change it herself. As I've said, unhinged Io Sky is the best Io Sky, and what does that mean that she will make changes? Is this a hint of perhaps a debuting new talent? Meanwhile, Chelsea continues to be one of the bright spots in all of wrestling, and I'm already imagining what hilarity she will bring to the women's Money in the Bank match. I am a super fan of both of these women. Io is still one of the best wrestlers in the world, while Chelsea just has it. You can't teach it, it can't be willed, you either do or you don't, and Ms. Green has it in spades. We got 2 of our Money in the Bank qualifiers, Io Sky and Chelsea Green, landing on the list at number 8. Maxine from Alpha Academy comes in at number 7, and even though she isn't an active wrestler, it didn't lessen the impact she had on a major angle this week when Chad Gable once more appeared to scold his Alpha Academy faction, slapping Tozawa before Maxine stepped in to protect her faction mate. Gable, the dastardly bully that he is, would toss Maxine's crutch away before eventually being met by an angry Otis, whose actions inspired the rest of Alpha Academy to depart their leader. While everyone has been all about how awesome Chad Gable Sami Zayn and Otis has been in this angle, I think we need to give some love to Maxine as well, who has pulled off being absolutely sympathetic, so when Gable does something villainous to her, we want to see Gable get his ass handed to him. No, she isn't the best wrestler, but she excels in the one thing in WWE that is tantamount, creating a character that the crowd empathizes with and cheers for, especially as the one who initially had the guts to stand up to Gable herself. Maxine pulled that off and has been pulling that off very well, and for me, that gets her to number 7 this week for the women. We have a 3-way tie at number 6 with 3 of our major female champs. WWE Women's World Champ Liv Morgan, AEW Women's World Champ Timeless Toni Storm, and Ring of Honor Women's Champ Athena, who each made an impact in their own ways. First, Liv continues to be a manipulative heel, and it seems as if Finn Balor is being pulled into orbit, which is interesting as I wonder if Dom will catch jealous feelings. But Liv is playing 5D chess with all of Judgment Day right now. Timeless Toni Storm continues to win her way through matches on her way to facing Mina Shirakawa at Forbidden Door, this time with her and Mariah May winning a tag match against Lady Frost and Layla Hirsch. Finally, Athena made her return to Ring of Honor television with a promo letting the world know that she has a serious leg injury, but she does not plan to relinquish the title despite being on the shelf for 4 to 6 months. This brought out Red Velvet and Queen Amanita, who doubted her claims, and I am thinking if we are going in this direction, perhaps Athena's injury isn't as grave as first reported, which hopefully is the case as the world needs more Athena in the ring. All 3 of these women are, honestly, doing some of the best work of their careers, whether in ring or out of it. But these 3 sit at the apex of women's wrestling with some other major names, and until there are some major shakeups, like a Rhea Ripley return, it's hard to envision who exactly is there to knock these champs off their perches. 3 of our women's champs, WWE Women's World Champ Liv Morgan, AEW Women's Champ Timeless Toni Storm, and Ring of Honor Women's Champ Athena, all land on the list at number 6. Ash by Elegance from TNA appears on the list at number 5, and it looks like we have an official number 1 contender to Jordynne Grace's TNA Knockouts title. This week on Impact, Ash defeated Heather Reckless in pretty much a squash match with rarefied air. Afterwards, Ash continued the attack before mocking Jordynne Grace's pose. Ash went to hit a juggernaut driver, but Jordynne Grace herself ran out to make the save. Grace would stave off an attack from Ash's concierge, but she would eventually get clocked with her own title. Slammiversary has our main women's title program, and I know, it's the former Dana Brooke. Has she earned it? Honestly, I've been watching and enjoying her work on Impact, so I am perfectly fine with her being a challenger for Grace. Now, should Ash by Elegance win? That's a different conversation altogether, as I believe TNA has way too much stock and momentum invested in Jordynne Grace, who between her and Joe Hendry are perhaps TNA's biggest stars. We will see, but this week Ash by Elegance made a true statement, and with her intentions known, we have a major challenger for Jordynne Grace's TNA Knockouts title, and that brings Ash by Elegance to the list at number 5. NXT Women's Champ The Prodigy Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice, who are seemingly on a collision course, find themselves on the list for the women this week at number 4. This week, the 2 found themselves paired up in a triple threat against Men of 4 and JC Jane and Jasmine Minx. Perez and Vice looked dangerous together until the Prodigy would tag herself in after Vice hit the spinning back fist on Jakari Jackson and would hit Pop Rocks to win. Afterward, Perez laid out her tag partner with a spinning back fist of her own and bailed. It looks like we are heading towards a Perez-Vice matchup at NXT Heatwave in Toronto, and this is a match that has a lot of promise to it. After taking down Shayna Baszler, this is Vice's highest profile match yet, and will definitely serve as a test to see how Vice does under the pressure of the bright lights when championship gold is on the line. I like Lola, I love me some Roxy, so I am hoping for some good wrestling between these two. Is Vice the one to finally dethrone Roxy? I'm not too sure about that, but I am certain that the two can put together a quality match, and I am already enjoying the build. NXT Women's Champ Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice find themselves at number 4 this week. The team of Stephanie Vacker and Zexius, the CMLL World Women's Tag Champs, land on the list at number 3 for defeating Lueva and Tessa Blanchard at CMLL Martes de Arena, Mexico, to defend their titles in a very good match. Also one day later at CMLL Presenta New Japan Fantastica Mania Mexico 2024, Vacker would push back against La Catalina to retain her New Japan Strong Women's title as she looks towards her title for title match against Mercedes Moné at AEW Forbidden Door. Mercedes Moné would also make an appearance at Fantastica Mania Mexico to face off with Vacker before their matchup as well. Zexius is awesome, but Vacker is just on another level, and I expect the match between her and Monet to melt some faces. I am sort of bracing myself for the worst, which would be Vacker losing her title to Monet, unless they somehow find a way to get the title back on her if this becomes more than just a one-off feud, because AEW having all the important New Japan belts doesn't help New Japan or their roster. Just keeping it real. But that was a tangent just for me to say Stephanie Vacker is amazeballs and people need to put respect on her name. New Japan Strong Women's Champ and one half of the CMLL Women's World Tag Champ Stephanie Vacker and her partner Zexius land on the list at number 3. The current and reigning NXT Women's North American Champ Kalani Jordan appears on the list at number 2 for defending her title against Michin in a very good, if predictable, match on NXT. Even if the result was never in doubt, the two worked a very good match, and it is clear why NXT chose Jordan as the first North American champ, as she is very good in between the ropes. We had the OC watching from ringside, culminating in Bronco Nima and Lucien Price distracting them, allowing Jada Parker to knock the HBIC off the top rope. Jordan did not see the interference, but she still had the wherewithal to capitalize with the one-of-a-kind moonsault for the win. This was a great competitive battle that is meant to build Jordan up as a fighting champ, so that whoever does dethrone her, it will mean something. But for now, we have a fighting champ in NXT Women's North American champ Kalani Jordan, who lands at number 2 this week. And the female wrestler of the week is the former Nikki Cross. I guess we are calling her Abby the Witch now? Honestly, there hasn't been much clarity provided yet, but honestly, it doesn't matter, as she was part of the biggest angle this week, the shocking debut of the Wyatt Six. In fact, it was Abby who kicked things off with the debut, crawling through the fog towards Bray Wyatt's lit lantern, which in turn opened the portal to all things anarchy, where we saw the faction lay waste to all those in the back of WWE's production team and Chad Gable. For all intents and purposes though, this debut, for all its spookiness, was effective in introducing the Wyatt Six and recontextualizing some of the characters, particularly Nikki Cross. When thinking about people who are a perfect fit for this faction, if anyone has seen Nikki's sanity work, knows she can pull off creepy and disturbed well, so I have complete faith that if anyone is going to go full balls to the wall with the insane nature of this group, it will be the former Nikki Cross. Abby the Witch, Nikki Cross, whatever you want to call her or acknowledge her as, was no doubt part of the biggest story this week in wrestling. That gives her the title of Female Wrestler of the Week for Week 20. And now the men and some honorable mentions. The Undisputed Kingdom would defeat Angelo Parker and Matt Maynard to retain their Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. Naomichi Marufuji and Takagi Siegura would defeat GLG for the GHC Tag Team titles, and we also have Marufuji facing AJ Styles in a major interpromotional announcement. Kazuchika Okada defeated Ultimo Guerrero in an AEW Continental title eliminator match. Bullet Club War Dogs would retain their IWGP Junior Heavyweight titles against the Mighty Don't Kneel. The Acclaim defeated the Young Bucks on Dynamite, and that should make them the new #1 contenders to the Young Bucks AEW tag titles. We got new Never Openweight 6-man tag team champs in Hiroshi Tanahashi, Oleg Boltin, and Toru Yano, who defeated Bushi, Hiromi Takashi, and Yota Tsuji to regain their titles. Bad Dude Tito would successfully defend his MLW National Openweight title against Jay Chris. Ethan Page would find a way to become, once again, #1 contender to Trick Williams' NXT title after defeating Javon Evans in the main event of this week's NXT. And we got Braun Breaker, who continues to destroy everything in his wake. This week, Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser, while going face-to-face with Sami Zayn and making his intentions known that he may be gunning after Zayn's Intercontinental title. And now the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the men. We kick the countdown off for the men with some major title defenses. David Finlay would defend his IWGP Global Heavyweight title against Sonata, while Mystico would retain his MLW National Openweight title against Storm Jr. in a match that celebrated Mystico's 20-year career. Meanwhile, at the same CMLL show, Michael Oku would defend his Rev Pro British Heavyweight title, while Kyle Fletcher would best Lee Johnson in a 2 out of 3 falls match to retain his Ring of Honor title. All champs are pretty established and considered synonymous with their titles at this time, each showing some level of stranglehold on the respective belts. At this point, I don't see who is going to defeat any of these 4 champions, as they are all pretty established and feel like they are all very dominant in their respective promotions. But I am willing to go along for the ride, and I do enjoy all of these champions' work in one way or another. So we will see how things turn up. But for now, we got our major men's title holders: David Finlay, Mystico, Michael Oku, and Kyle Fletcher, all defending their titles, and that lands them at number 10 this week. The phenomenal AJ Styles lands on the list at number 9, and that is for the announcement that Styles will be facing the legendary Naomichi Marufuji at Noah Destination 2024. An AJ Styles match in Japan? To think that it's been almost 10 years since AJ debuted in WWE, and even crazier is the career that he has enjoyed. I think pretty much to the point where an argument can be made that AJ now is one of the greatest workers of all time. So to have this talent loan for AJ to head over to Pro Wrestling Noah is a major deal. Similar to the TNA talent exchange and Io Sky heading to Marigold to face Utami Hayashita, it is clear that WWE and Triple H in particular are looking to create their own Forbidden Door. But for some reason this sticks, because WWE has not worked with another major promotion in this way since before the Attitude Era, and WWE has already a history of rarely working with other promotions. But we have new management in charge, so chaos theory. Yes, this would have been a bigger match 10 years ago. Yes, Marufuji isn't the performer he once was. Hell, AJ isn't as spry as he used to be. But this match is still a bit of an event and a crazy anomaly I think no one had on their 2024 bingo card. What happens next? Braun Breaker gunning after the NWA World title? Actually, that might be pretty fucking awesome. But we are talking about the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, whose shocking return to Japan to face Mayor Fuji lands him on the list at number 9. AEW World Champ Swerve Strickland and AEW International Champ Will Ospreay find themselves at number 8 for the busy week they had. On AEW Dynamite, Swerve and Ospreay would have a very heated confrontation where Ospreay name drops Swerve's OWWE faction Hit Row, while Swerve decided to make things personal by bringing Ospreay's family into the mix. Swerve and Ospreay are meant to team up this Wednesday on Dynamite, and obviously the story will be if the two foes will be able to coexist as a team as they look towards the AEW title match at Forbidden Door. Also, on Collision, Ospreay won a great match in defending his AEW International title. Ospreay is the very definition of a fighting champ, defending his title almost weekly on AEW television. The real test will be if Will's fighting spirit can overcome Swerve's desire to stay champ and is willing to do whatever it takes. I know AEW is feeling some growing pains right now, but I love me some Swerve and Ospreay, and I believe they have the best rivalry in AEW, so it should be the main program for their title. I also have no doubts that this match, as Sheamus would say, will be a banger. For their contributions this week, AEW World Champ Swerve Strickland and AEW International Champ Will Ospreay arrive on the list at number 8. Alpha Academy appears this week at number 7, and boy did they have a memorable week for all sorts of reasons. On Monday Night Raw, we finally saw what seems to be a mutiny within the Academy as Gable began to tear into Tozawa when Maxine attempted to intervene. Gable threw her crutches out like a true villain, and Otis stepped up to Gable and confronted him. Otis would tear his Alpha Academy shirt, push Gable down to the mat. While all left, Gable would shout out how they were all family, and this was a great segment, pushed over the edge by Otis as a sympathetic character, and seeing him stand up for himself and his friends was cathartic. But Gable wasn't only involved in one angle, as he would be the highest profile victim of the debut of the Wyatt Six, to the point where fans believe he was murdered on live television. Personally, I think Gable just sold death way too well. Honestly though, Chad Gable is awesome. He signed a new deal with WWE, and I can see him bringing in a couple of new faces to be his muscle, as Alpha Academy has let him down. But this week, all the participants of the Alpha Academy storyline find themselves at number 7. We got a pair of title changes from New Japan coming in at number 6. First, Haner defeated Shingo Takagi to win the Never Openweight title, while 2024 Best of the Super Juniors winner El Desperado defeated Sho to win the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title in an insane steel cage match, both happening at New Japan Seoul. Henry and Takagi killed each other in a true physical test of will with headbutts and lariats, while Sho and Desperado went all out to try and commit murder. At the end, it took a reverse counter from The Last Dragon into Streets of Rage for Haner to get the pinfall victory, while it took a pair of Pinche Locos for Desperado to get the title from Sho, and he also has his first challenger lined up in Dookie. Both new champions feel like a new direction for New Japan, especially with El Desperado, as it seems like fans did not really take to Sho as a character, even as an annoying heel. Perhaps El Desperado will have a much better time with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, as he does feel like the bigger star. Join me in congratulating both Haner and El Desperado, the new Never Openweight and IWGP Junior Heavyweight champs, who are on the list this week at number 6. Making his shocking but welcome return to Monday Night Raw was Seth freaking Rollins, and he appears on the list at number 5. Rollins confronted World Heavyweight Champ Damian Priest to challenge him for his title that he lost at WrestleMania, and we have an official match at Money in the Bank between Rollins and Priest, and talk about a matchup that has the potential to slap hard. I do feel this match was made to help build Priest up further for a potential matchup with Gunther. If Priest can get past Rollins, that's a major victory, and he appears very dangerous. But there is always the possibility of WWE throwing a curveball at us and have Rollins stomp Priest's championship dreams into oblivion, and we would have a major high-profile match for SummerSlam. Which, as much as I love Priest, I admit Rollins is the bigger name of the two. Seth Rollins will do everything he can to have a great match with whoever he is in the ring with, and I am confident he will make Priest look like $1 million. Will Seth pull off the win in Toronto? Let's see, but it is great seeing Rollins back. Let's see what crazy wardrobe he gifts us with. Seth freaking Rollins arrives on the list for the men at number 5. The hottest feud in wrestling turned the temperature up big time this week, and that lands CM Punk and Drew McIntyre on the list at number 4. On Monday Night Raw, following his loss to Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight title at Clash of the Castle, a frustrated Drew McIntyre quit WWE, sparked by the comments Triple H made during the post-premium live event media scrum, where he acknowledged how much he appreciated and loved Punk on the WWE roster. That's fair. If the CEO is praising the man who cost you a world title twice, you'd probably be a little salty too. On Friday Night SmackDown in Chicago, Punk opened the show to be first confronted by Paul Heyman, begging for Punk to take him back as a manager before the Bloodline 2.0 came out to confront him. Cody Rhodes would appear with a couple of baseball bats to help chase them off, but that wasn't the end of the night for Punk, as he would get massacred by Drew McIntyre in the loading dock, getting bloodied up, and the final straw, Drew taking Punk's bracelet with wife AJ and his dog's Larry's name on it. This feud is so hot. Satan is asking to turn the temp down, but no, I want more. More beatdowns, more mind games, more chaos, more dueling promo battles, more blood. If reports are to be believed, Punk should be ready to go by SummerSlam, and to me, no matter what other matches are on the card, this feels like the main event. It doesn't need a title, just hatred, and no one's bringing the heat between two foes like Punk and Drew. As I've said, Punk's Royal Rumble injury is the best thing to happen, as it allowed Punk and Drew to, for the most part, keep their distance except when necessary, and every new response from either just escalates this rivalry. SummerSlam can't come fast enough. The hottest feud in all of wrestling, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre find themselves in the number 4 spot for the men this week. Do you believe in Joe Hendry? I sure as fuck believe, and he lands on the list this week for his shocking appearance on NXT at number 3. While Frankie Kazarian from TNA also made an appearance and lasted pretty long in the NXT number 1 Contenders Battle Royal, it was Hendry himself who made the most impact. The pop he got for his entrance was amazing, and the fans were into him, so much so that there was some noticeable disappointment when he was ganged up by the NXT wrestlers in the match and had him thrown out right at the start. As of this episode, Hendry's debut on NXT is one of the most viewed bits of WWE media all year. Hendry appeared at the ramp and cut a great promo that got the NXT crowd amped up, and after his elimination, Hendry got into Shawn Michaels' face in Gorilla, and I am pretty sure this Hendry NXT experiment is just starting. And if there is ever a can't-miss prospect from WWE when his time is up at TNA, Hendry is going to receive a hero's welcome. If he is already getting the response he already is with that amazing theme song and entrance, there really is a possibility that when it is time, Hendry just may be a big enough star to skip NXT entirely and make his mark on the main roster. Time will obviously tell, but when you have a star as hot as Joe Hendry, you keep applying the pressure, and I have to credit both WWE and TNA for how they have presented him. Bet this guy is going to be huge. I believe in Joe Hendry, the number 3 male wrestler of the week. On any other week, Jacob Fatu for his spectacular debut on Friday Night SmackDown would have been number 1, but he will have to settle for the runner-up spot this week. But still, what a goddamn impact he made. At the closing moments of SmackDown, after the Bloodline attempted to beat down undisputed WWE champ Cody Rhodes, when he was rescued by Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, who all cornered Solo into the corner. And once more, let me praise WWE's production team for how this played out, with Solo's faith pleas for mercy before that amazing smile on his face, and that's when Fatu made his mark, super kicking the shit out of Cody and Orton, no-selling a super kick by Owens, and laying him out with a clothesline before destroying him with a Samoan drop on the steps. Fatu would go ham, laying Orton out with a spear before splashing Cody through the announcer's desk. Fatu was presented as a legit world beater, and the former MLW World Champ made a hell of an impression as he just destroyed everything in his wake, and the Bloodline 2.0 may be as dangerous as it's ever been, and man, when Roman Reigns returns, it will be astounding. But for now, we are talking about the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu, who comes in at number 2 for the men. And the male wrestlers of the week for week 20 are the male wrestlers of the Wyatt Six: Uncle Howdy, Ramblin' Rabbit, Mercy the Buzzard, and Huskus the Pig, for their unreal and insane debut this past Monday on Raw. At the conclusion of Jey Uso winning his Money in the Bank qualifier match, the lights went out, the one piano note from Bray Wyatt's Shatter played, and we were treated to essentially a horror movie, with a single camera take going from Abby the Witch on the ramp and through into the gorilla position and beyond to reveal all sorts of chaos with busted up bodies, including Chad Gable, who for a minute everyone thought was murdered. We know this new faction on the men's side is Bo Dallas, Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, and Joe Gacy, but their intros were no less effective with their crazy masks and body language to let the audience know this is no normal faction. I know the supernatural and horror type elements in wrestling can turn some people off as all they want is reality. Well, I like reality, but I also like intrigue and silliness. And for now, I am intrigued in what they do next, especially after what seems to be a mini feud brewing between them and Pat McAfee. Now, if this ends up falling into silly wrestling territory, I'm going to do my best to have fun with it. But man, what an impact. A faction hasn't debuted with this much destruction and intrigue since the Nexus. Let's see if they will be treated any better. But for me, this was a great debut. It got a lot of people talking, and I have the highest of hopes that WWE will do the late, great Bray Wyatt proud. The Wyatt Six, for their memorable debut on Monday Night Raw, are the Week 20 Wrestlers of the Week. And here are the weekly standings for the men and the women. Yeah, this was just a tremendous week, and I am just interested to see how everything is going to play out over the next 7 days with some of these major storylines amping up. What did you think of my picks for Wrestler of the Week? Do you agree or disagree? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.